I'm Allie with PotomacBeads. In this Better Beader episode, we are going to go over the difference between raw stitch, PRAW stitch, CRAW stitch, MRAW stitch, Trawl Stitch, all the different right angle weave stitches, and what to use when, what they are exactly, and kind of defining those for you. I'm going to start with a simple kind of drawing and showing you the difference in some of these stitches. Raw stitch, or it stands for right angle weave, is going to be that RAW creates right angles. It creates 4 right angles as you pull beads together and sew through them. Because of that right angle, you are going to have beads that sit with the holes vertical on top and bottom, and holes that sit horizontal, vertical, horizontal, on the sides. Whether or not you turn it to this side or this side, build up or down, it does not matter. When you continue right angle weave, you add on, if your thread is coming out here, you're going to add on 3 more beads and continue that right angle weave, taking the thread through in a circle and finishing up an additional circle. When you take the thread through another time through half, you're going to exit that thread, kind of see this spiral figure 8. I'm going to draw this one in here where the thread would have started. And you're going to notice the thread pass is going to go twice through that center bead with the hole facing on that vertical right now, and then twice through the horizontal on one side. The next time you add, your thread is going to go around those 3 beads that you're adding. Again, a second thread, a third thread through that middle, and a second thread through that bottom bead. 2 threads to the top on that second row, 2 threads to the bottom on the third row. The middle bead there is going to get that 1, 2, 3 thread, 1, 2, 3. 2 to start, you add the third row on, you get a third string in there. The middle rows are always going to have those third stitches. Raw stitch can be done in that right angle weave with multiple beads or with 1 bead. So I could do it with a group of 4, or in this case here, I did multiple rows of right angle weave on this Gatsby bracelet and then embellished the top. It's a super versatile stitch. Right angle weave, when you're looking at it here, this one has 2 beads on both the bottoms, the sides, and the top of each right angle unit. Then as you continue to go, you add on additional rows of that right angle weave, which is going to add additional threads through the side beads when you're looking at it. Right angle weave can be done in the flat or it can be done in the round. You can graduate it and you can add on, take, and subtract. When it's done in the round or in a tubular shape, right angle weave can take many forms. Here is what could be called a trawl stitch. This is a triangular right angle weave because instead of starting out where you have those 4 beads, you're still starting out to get those 4 units, those 4 right angle weaves. Always with raw stitch, it's going to be that right angle weave. You have the 4 beads that you're starting with, and then that 4 beads, after you kind of draw in, you're going to add on 3 beads to get your next raw stitch on. Draw in your thread pass, and this is really helpful to draw if you are challenged with it or you're having a little trouble. As I go in to add my 3rd one here, this bead right here is actually going to be the bead from the other side. You're going to sew your thread through here, grab that bead over here, bring it over to the side, and what that does is round it out and you get kind of that triangular shape if you're doing it in a group of 3. When you build then, you're building up and the triangle continues to go. So that triangle building continues to get higher and higher and you keep adding more and more rows. You can then learn in that tubular right angle weave stitch or this triangle stitch how to do crawl stitch. Crawl stitch is going to be 4 units of right angle weave that are done in a tube. So basically you're taking units 1, 2, and 3, and then as you add in unit 4, you're kind of joining them together. You do that as it gets longer rather than making a long strip and turning it over. You can do that too, but it's going to be better for tension wise to do it in that tubular stitch. In this bracelet here for the crawl stitch, Each floor or each additional row of stitch that I'm adding, I changed the color so I could see exactly what I was doing. It does not matter whether or not I'm doing this with 8 OC beads and 2mm or 3mm pearls, or if I'm doing it with 11 OC beads. It's going to be the same effect, just different sizes. This here, you're going to notice you have 1, 2, 3, and 4 boxes that are created to get that tubular right angle weave. We build up and we build layers to continue on with this crawl stitch. The crawl stitch is not circular, it's cubic, meaning you're making basically box on top of box on top of box. So usually the sides are going to equal up even. If I had this out nice and flat, you can see that my rows line up, and I kind of have corners. I could even run the thread down those corner beads if I want to, all the beads that right now are sitting with the holes going vertical. Now, crawl stitch, again, it's not circular, which is a common misconception. It's going to be that cubic, creating those cubes or those groups of 4. Basically, then you're just taking those building blocks and those squares and adding one to the other and going and going and going. The next stitch to learn then is really just a variation of what you would think of as crawl stitch. Instead of doing cubic, the PRAW stitch is going to be prismatic. PRAW stitch starts out the exact same method, exact same way. I just did a video, and I have videos on all of these. So if you need help, just look on the YouTube channel, hit that little search button when you're on our homepage, and type in RAW, R-A-W, or right angle. Check out all the different videos. It's a great versatile stitch. When you are doing the PRAW stitch, the PRAW is going to refer to as prismatic right angle weave. This is going to vary from the crawl stitch because you're going to start out with more than 4 beads. You're not doing that 4 rows or that 4 kind of cube for that cubular or that cubic crawl stitch. You're going to open it up and kind of make it more rounded by adding in possibly 6 beads to start. So I had just done this video on this crawl stitch, and instead of having 4, basically one side, 2, 3, 4. This one has 5 sides. You can have 6, you can have 7, you can have 8, but you're always still reverting back to that right angle weave. For the prismatic right angle weave stitch, when you're looking at it, prismatic right angle weave is going to start out with a base number greater than 4. That's the only difference from the crawl to the PRAW, is how many beads you start out with. So if I start out with 4, it's crawl because you're creating that cube. If I start out with more than 4 beads, that's where I'm getting into, or more than 4 sides, I should say, that's where I'm getting into the prismatic right angle weave. I can do 4 or 6, I can do 10, I can do 20. It doesn't really matter how many, that's all going to be the prismatic. I've also again heard that trawl stitch where you're creating that triangle with it. So you can see here I have 3 groupings, so because I have 3 sides to it, it creates a triangle. When I have 4 sides, it creates the crawl. When I have more than that, creates more of like a circle as I go in and create basically that 6-sided version. It's going to get more rounded, and you're going to lose kind of that cubic shape. That's the prismatic, depending on how many beads or how many little boxes you connect together. Doesn't matter how many, still always that PRAW stitch. There's also the trawl stitch, which is going to be like modified. There's tons and tons of different modifications that you can make when it comes to right angle weave. It took me a long time to pick up right angle weave when I first started beading. It took me even longer to learn how to do the rows and add on to that right angle weave stitch. Took a little bit longer to add and figure out how to do it, basically a geometry project, and do it in that cubic version. Then once you've got the cubic, you're good. PRAW stitch is exactly the same thing. Just start out with more beads. Whenever you need help for this, make sure that you do seek out the additional videos that you need. So we have one on PRAW, we have one on CRAW, we have one on right angle weave. I have one building boxes out of right angle weave. It is a really essential stitch. So I hope that you will find helpful this video, which kind of defines the difference in how you progress from one to the other, and then also link to some of the different videos that might use these stitches that you are looking for. You can also do right angle weave with multi-hold beads as well, so stay tuned for that. Keep in mind, these videos are meant to make you more educated and make you a better beater. Check out some of the older episodes that I've done, as well as hit that little bell in the corner to subscribe to get regular updates from us here at Potomac Beads. If you need any materials and links to some of the videos, check out the link below me to shop with us online at PotomacBeads.com, as well as PotomacBeads.eu. Click that little Show More drop down on the video description. You can also share this video, which is super helpful, link it, and kind of spread the word so that way we can get the corrections and get down what is the difference between these stitches. As always, comment below and let me know if it was helpful, what additional information you would like to throw out to that community and to help our fellow beaters. Hopefully this video helped to make you a better beater. As always, thanks for watching.